to infinity and beyond.
What's up, everyone? It's Roger and James here from Infinity and Beyond, your weekly video game podcast from DisKingdom.com. As you can see, we had a few little technical difficulties before we went live, so we decided to jump to a plan that we were going to run in a few weeks' time and record in a different format and see if you can get me in glorious HD. Rather than, and James there as well. With his lovely cat, so he can't actually see me now, so I can make as many symbols and stuff to him as possible, and he won't be able to see what I'm doing. So James, how's this week been going for you?
It's been going pretty well. I actually just got back from a comic convention yesterday and today, and well, I guess that would be yesterday and 2 days ago, but yeah, a lot of fun, and been playing a lot of Marvel Tsum Tsum.
Yeah. So what else have you been playing this week?
I've been playing a little bit Marvel Avengers Academy, but I think I might be done with that game. And the regular Disney Tsum Tsum and Disney Emoji Blitz.
So. We've been having a full suite. So this week I've been mainly focusing on Avengers Alliance 2, being kind of plowing. I've gone through Act 1 and Act 2, went with the anti-registration option when I went through that one, so I've still got Act 3 to do. Also playing a bit of Castle of Illusion on the Xbox One, and then also some more WWE 2K from the last month's Xbox Gold, which it's one of those things that I've actually got. There's a game I wanted to play that I'm actually playing. I've put in some hours into something that's free, which is always good. So I'm looking forward to Journey this month.
Well, you said Avengers Alliance. I think you meant Ultimate Alliance.
Oh, Ultimate Alliance. Yeah, we don't want to. Yeah, the Avengers Alliance is going to be the topic for today's show because we've actually got tons and tons of news. So we're going to push back our future Disney discussion for another one because we have got a ton of news this week. Loads of stuff got cancelled in terms of Avengers Academy. Not Avengers Academy. That one hasn't been cancelled yet. Wrong game. So we have got a whole host of news this week. We've got Avengers Alliance 1 and 2 being closed down, Castle of Illusion on the Xbox and all the other devices being. We've got some Marvel Heroes discussion. We've also got some Tsum Tsum and a little bit more. So let's jump pretty much into, I think we'll do the good news, bad news this week so far. So we'll deal with the good news first, which you alluded to before, which was the start of the launch of Marvel Tsum Tsum on pretty much all devices, and that kind of, well, we've been expecting it for a while, but it kind of just dropped out of nowhere this week.
Yeah, I mean, they announced it, maybe 2 months ago, and it's been in testing in Japan for longer than that, so.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's a good fun game. I think they've done a good job of updating the basic version a little bit more than we'd seen before. You know, they've added the battle versions. It just seems a little bit of a better app compared to the first one.
Yeah, I agree. That's the main reason I actually went back and played the original, was to kind of compare them. And I think the improvements are appreciated. There's more incentive to go in there and play it because they've got the daily battles. They've got, you can unlock Ronin or Ultron by beating them. It's luck whether you unlock them, but still, it gives you an incentive to play.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a good one. It's definitely, I think, to me, it feels like a much stronger app. It's kind of strange that they didn't do it inside of the normal Tsum Tsum. That would have been, I think, cool if they had done that, like had it all in one thing. But as we know, they don't tend to work well together sometimes.
Yeah, it's one thing we kind of wish Disney would unify on. Let Marvel play with Star Wars and the regular Disney Kingdom.
Yeah, no, it was kind of interesting to see that. I think it's gone down very well. I think it's gone. There doesn't seem to be everyone, people that are talking about it, all seem to be working well. But it's been in like soft. I mean, it's been in Japan for years, so it's not like it's a completely brand new game. They've been running this one for quite a while.
Now, unlike some other games that have gone to Japan or other markets for testing, this one you couldn't bring the data over, could you? You couldn't play the Japanese one and then have all those unlocks already ready to go?
No, well, I think normally when they go on like soft launch, because I do this quite a bit where I'll try out an app before, maybe like if it launches in Australia, it's because it's the same app and it's the same version and they just then work. Whereas this is like the Japanese version is an entirely different, different software completely. It's done completely differently than like usually what happens with the soft launch. So makes sense. I mean, I did play the Japanese version, and of course it was quite funny playing the real version going, oh, that's what that actually was. I didn't have a clue what it was. But anyway, I think it's really good. I think it's going to get more popular. I mean, they've got tons and tons of new Marvel Tsum Tsums coming out. So I think they're just going to see that. One, how they're going to bring in events and all this kind of stuff, because I think it's going to be probably a very popular app.
I think so, and I think the Marvel angle to it will be drawing attention to it. Speaking of events, I saw that in the regular Tsum Tsum they're doing an event shortly with Aladdin.
Yeah,
but I don't know anything about that other than I don't know how they do events in this.
The only event really I've ever kind of jumped into was the Star Wars one, which I thought worked really well. You had to like take out the Star Destroyers. I thought that worked really well. So I think if they do the events and they work very differently to the normal game, it should work pretty cool. But yeah, so that was the that one there. So we're just going to jump. There's quite a bit of Marvel news this week. Also, all the Ultimate Alliance 1 DLC was added to the game, so we now have a host of new characters, including we got Doctor Doom, Sabretooth, Magneto, Venom. There was also who we had in there as well. We had Cyclops, Hawkeye, Nightcrawler. They all got added to the game. Again, a lot of fun. I'm glad they put them in there. I still would say that they should have been in there the first time round. They should have never have not have tried to whatever they were trying to do. I don't think it worked. I think it backfired very, very badly. Whether or not they were planning on selling it extra or if they just forgot to include it, I don't know. It was odd.
I think Activision as a company hasn't really earned our faith to believe that this was just an oversight. I'm pretty sure they were going to try and sell it back to us at a later point.
Yeah.
But they fixed it, and I'll give them some points for that. It sounds like the PC version is also starting to come along a little bit better. It still has room for improvement from what I've read, but if it goes on sale in like the Steam Winter Sale, I'll probably pick it up at that point.
Yeah, no, it's I'll be honest, I'm enjoying number 2 much more than number 1. I admit just the extra few years I think working on it seemed to make all the difference. But no, just in general, so it's good that they've added that content. They haven't added all of the characters because there were some exclusives that when I was reading up to see which ones, they didn't add all of them, but the majority of them are now in there, so that's kind of cool. Okay, so we're going to jump over now to another Marvel content as well. Monsters Unleashed was a new comic book that was announced for coming in January, which features like Man-Thing, Werewolf, and was it Frankenstein's monster, based on the like a 70s show. But what was kind of interesting was Bill from Marvel Games then put out a tweet saying, "And coming to Marvel video games." That's all we know. We don't know what games, but I thought this was cool. I thought this is an interesting way of doing something different with them.
Yeah, it's definitely an unexpected move too by Marvel. They've been putting a lot of weight behind this. A lot of their top tier artists and writers are going to be working on this. So we'll see what happens. But I'm betting the game is going to be a mobile game, not like a full-fledged console game.
Yeah, see, I was thinking, they'll probably add all those 3 characters or whoever else they've got into like Marvel Heroes, add them into Puzzle Quest, add them into Future Fight, add them into Contest of Champions. Not necessarily maybe getting their own app. Maybe a pinball table if we're lucky, but primarily just adding on content to the game, to the apps that are already out, and like refocusing on. I don't know if necessarily they're into like launching more apps. I think just strengthening the ones they've got.
Well, Marvel certainly has plenty of apps, though, as we're going to discuss in a bit, they're about to be short 2 more. But I think even with those 2 gone, they've got plenty of apps. So I agree. I think we'll see them added. They'll probably be like a Marvel Tsum Tsum event where they get added in, or they'll pop into Avengers Academy.
But I think it's a good way as well of like getting those characters out to a lot of people, because I know there's been some characters that I've come to get used to because of Marvel games rather than the comic book. So when like I've been playing like Marvel Alliance, and I can't help but feel like there's all these different characters like Miss Marvel with which is now Captain Marvel, and Black Panther and Deadpool and stuff, and you're playing them and you're going, if this was like 5, 6, 7 years ago, and these are still they were in there then, so it's been like a little effect of just adding them constantly, so gamers like me are familiar with them, so when the movies and stuff, rather than reading the comic books with some of these characters.
And yet we haven't seen Firestar since Ultimate Alliance 2, unfortunately. One of my favorite characters.
See, I remember. I think because was Firestar in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
That's actually where she was introduced. She was a replacement for Human Torch because I think they were afraid at that point the kids would light themselves on fire, so they created a new character.
See, I just remember that cartoon from when I was a kid of Iceman and Firestar. So that's instantly where I jump back to on that one.
Oh yeah.
So that's cool. Let me just have a look here. Other things from Marvel side of things. Marvel Heroes is set to launch in South Korea, which is, I think, good news all round in general. I mean, they seem to be going well into the Asian market, and if they bring more money in, I think that's just good for everybody.
I mean, the South Koreans, the Asian markets are pretty famous for embracing MMOs. So, yeah, I think that they have a shot at making some decent money there as long as they support it.
And I think that's the big thing. Is to me, it's very simple. Of like, if that brings in more money, brings in more content, that's it. That's win-win-win. Now games are global, and I maybe because of being outside of the US watching it, I tend to think of like every country is just as important than the other. We've seen it with the blockbusters in the cinema now. India, China, Russia, they have a bigger impact on the global box office of movies than the US now, and now they're aiming at everybody. And I feel like video games are starting to come down that line where they've got, it's not just about the core audience, which I think sometimes people just assume that's who they're marketing at.
Well, I mean, if you can get your game into China, that's literally a billion people that you can put it in front of. India is pretty much the same deal. So obviously that's a market they want to tap. So
yeah, I do remember going into some internet cafes in China about 10 years ago. And this is 10 years ago, and you literally would walk into some little basement, and there would be 1,000 people just on computers just playing games. And this was 10 years ago. I remember doing it and going, "Oh my! I'd never seen anything like it." It's like one of the like going on the internet was quite back then it wasn't quite so easy, but it was like, wow, they were loving the video games, and that was 10 years ago.
Oh yeah. I haven't been there. I haven't been to any of the Asian countries, but the stories that come out of them, I mean, it's not the first time I've heard something like that. So
yeah, that's pretty cool. So that's the Marvel side of things. Also, they are bringing in some new events coming in September. They're replaying the Civil War event for a couple of weeks, and then they're going to go into an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. event, and then a Luke Cage event tying into the season premieres of the new TV shows. I wouldn't surprise if we get maybe some new costumes or something like that as well with this.
Right, I agree. I think maybe we could see Phil Coulson be given away as like a team up because he's already in the game.
Yeah.
I would expect the Luke Cage event will be like the Daredevil event that we had earlier in the year, where it'll probably just be, defeat X number of villains, and if you defeat more X number of villains than your friends do, then you get a cool little reward for it. Nothing too special, and maybe a new costume, obviously.
Yeah, I was wondering whether or not with Ghost Rider they give them the new Gabriel costume rather than just the playable one, because obviously he's in a car rather than, I don't know, because how would that, unless they do a team up or something, but it's not included in the advance pack, so I don't know if it's necessarily a new character.
Well, it might be a reward or something like that, the costume. But they definitely want to promote the heck out of that because Ghost Rider is obviously the big addition to the show. So yeah.
Right, so we've got one big final bit of Marvel movies this week.
So much.
Avengers Alliance 1 and 2 have been shut down as of the end of the month. This one, I think a lot of people felt this one came out of left field. So the first game does seem to be very, very, very popular. It was a big Facebook game. It's been around for 5 years. They then launched number 2 back in April. And I think this is what's the really surprising thing, was they only just really launched the second game, and apparently that one there has not done very, very well. And I can't help but feel that my initial reaction to this was, while I was watching the Reddit and the Facebook group and on Twitter and just watching all the comments, and I was kind of and then I saw the change petition come up, and I'm just like going, and I could see everyone reacting to it. It's like Infinity again. Literally, it was how the Infinity group was the same reaction to the Marvel one, but maybe a little bit more aggressive because of people putting in sort of money for digital content. And Yeah, it's just because it kind of came out like number 2 was cancelled, and then they kind of released the content saying number 1 was. I think when 2 was out, everyone goes, "Oh!" There was a few Reddit posts like, "Oh, number 2's shutting down," and then they went, "Yeah, and so is number 1." At which point, then they all just went nuts because I think it was literally online at that point where they had put the tweet out.
Yeah, I didn't actually follow the news as it was breaking. I just heard both of them were getting canceled, and I was surprised that 1 was actually still around. I thought they had closed 1 when they launched 2, and yeah, so that was a big shock.
Yeah, I think as well it does sound like a lot of people didn't move from 1 to 2, and that was the big problem of whether or not they didn't do a very good transitional period. Maybe it would have been better to have just have launched 1 or rebooted it or something or done something to it. But the fact it's been cancelled, a lot of people, again, all I keep seeing was the same kind of comments that we saw with Disney Infinity of people saying, "I'm not spending any more money on Disney games. Disney is to blame. I'm not going to do this again." And it's like this, and also that reaction of it being the second big Disney game that they've cancelled this year. There was some few comments of people saying, it's not good for Disney's reputation. They've got a very bad reputation for games. They've had some real sort of humdingers of some content coming to gamers this last couple of weeks, or last couple of months, really.
That's definitely true, and I think the writing on the wall was there for Avengers Alliance 2. Like, if you've browsed the subreddit for the past couple of months, there were people going, "Is the game canceled? Where's the content?" etc., etc. But Avengers Alliance 1, as you said, has been around since before mobile gaming was really a thing. And so there have been people who've put probably literally about a decade's worth of effort into this game, and now it's just all gone. Or will be.
They didn't, yeah, I mean, they haven't as well. They didn't really give people a lot of notice, a few weeks. And also, my gut reaction for this was actually more so, this is a Disney-created game. This was created in-house. This was not an outsourced one like Gazillion doing Marvel Heroes or Kazam doing Contest of Champions. This is an internal one. And I can't help but feel this stemmed back probably way since Infinity got canned, and they had the chapters 1 and 2 to come out in August that they were already working on. Like, it kind of feels a bit like the Finding Dory mode where they had to wait till they got them out of the way properly because they'd already made most of the content. Yeah, I just felt like this is just part of the Disney gaming group just closing down a little bit more.
Yeah, I think they're going to try, especially over the next couple of months, to just kind of consolidate and streamline and maybe not have so much dilution for the brand now. How many Marvel games do you need, and which ones have the best monetization from their point of view?
Yeah.
So, obviously, Avengers Alliance 2, from what I played of it, its monetization was terrible. There was very little incentive to pay money, and if you did pay money, you probably weren't going to get much worth your while.
No. So, I played the second game when it came out back in April and did like a video tour on it. But I never played the original one because it was just, I don't play games on Facebook. I don't tend to use Facebook on my actual computer too much. More of a iPad, iPhone thing. But yeah, I think like my reaction to this was very much along the lines of this was a continuation of Disney just cutting the costs of their own internal content, and whether it doesn't really feel like they really managed to get people across to number 2. But then if it wasn't on Facebook, and that seemed to be the prime audience of who was using it.
Yeah, I mean, Facebook is where it started, and Facebook is, I guess, where most of the people were still playing it. So it would have made sense for them to bring it to Facebook, but I don't even know. Does Facebook get a lot of new games these days? It seems like everything's all mobile now. Yeah,
I don't think they've been putting too much on it. I think Facebook have been trying to put games on it. I mean, there's even been talk of them trying to launch their own PCs, like Steam alternative. That was something I was reading the other day. So I don't know. It completely sucks for those people that are playing it, and it kind of throws up a lot of questions really about sort of mobile games of like, this is the big problem with these online games of when they get the lugs pulled from them, they go down, and it's not like a cartridge like I just had delivered yesterday where I can just pop it in and play it. They're gone. They pulled the service down. The game is no longer all the work. I was reading a post from one of the artists that was working on the game, writers. It's like all that work that they've done into it is gone. It's not like people can replay it or anything like that. It just disappears.
Yeah, and I mean, this isn't exactly unique to mobile games. Like, I remember playing MMOs back when they were called MMORPGs and stuff, and there was always that specter of, well, once the server shut down, any money you put into it is gone. And, you know, World of Warcraft is still going strong. Obviously, it had a new expansion, but for every World of Warcraft, there's been, what, 20, 30, 40 games that have shut their servers down within a year or two?
Yeah, and I'm kind of going to bring this one in here just for the sake, because for this conversation, really. Disney did, apparently, Castle of Illusion became backwards compatible on the Xbox One this week, or last week, so I downloaded that one. I can't believe I brought it. I've brought it 3 times this summer, that game. I brought it on the Steam sale for like £1.50. Good. It came up on the PlayStation sale, on the PlayStation 3 for £1.40 or £1.50. Thought, I'll buy it and I'll download it later in the week. Didn't even think anything more of it. But what for that price, rather than playing it on my laptop, I can play it on there. Because then it came backwards compatible. I thought, I'll buy it. And then there was Sega are removing it from all the platforms, including PlayStation 3, Xbox, and also Steam, and kind of and it's all kind of tied into the same thing. And so I purchased it. So if you purchase it, you can download it and you can play it, etc. But this, apparently Sega didn't want to pay the licensing for Disney to keep this game up, and this kind of comes into this Avengers Alliance thing of, this is the problem with digital games, of when a company decides that the licensing isn't there anymore, they're not paying the money, the games can just get pulled. Now, luckily, I can now download Castle of Illusion on any of the platforms and play it. So there's not going to have the online effect. But now, if you wanted to play it, you can't buy it. And it's the same thing with that Avengers Alliance. You know, this is the thing with digital. And I think this is why people are worried about digital platforms. You know, if Xbox went tomorrow, all those digital games I've got are gone. You know, I think this is where people get worried with digital versus physical.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you have the digital version and they decide they don't want it anymore, then it's gone. It's like what happened a number of years ago with the Amazon Kindle. What was it, 1984 or something like that? Someone released a version of that book, and they weren't legally allowed to sell it, but that didn't stop people from buying it. And Amazon just went, okay, well, you bought it. You don't have it anymore. It's gone.
Yeah.
You can't download it. You can't access your account. Anything. So,
I mean, I know I was playing Little Big Planet the other day, and I was using my Marvel characters because they all got pulled off the store, so you can't buy them anymore. You know, this, and I feel this is the big issue with digital. And I'm going to be honest. This last year, 18 months, I'm becoming more and more digital. I'm a digital gamer. My entire Xbox One collection is digital. I don't own a single disc. I got a couple of Xbox 360 games, and more and more of my PlayStation, Little Big Planet, Avengers Alliance, Amazing Spider-Man 2. You know, these are all, they're all digital games, and I'm finding I'm creeping over to it. But now with these mobile purchases, I don't like sinking too much money into digital purchases. I don't tend to buy a lot. But it literally, you've got to almost think of it like a candy bar where you eat it, try it out, and it's not a lifelong investment at this point.
Right. I had to make that shift in my mind too, where it's not, when I used to buy comics physically or DVDs or stuff like that, I could always say, all right, well, if I get tired of this or if I need to clear it out for space or whatever, I can always just go online and sell it and get some of my money back. But now, once I buy a movie digitally or buy a comic book digitally, that's it. It's not going anywhere. Unless apparently it's No Man's Sky, in which case you can refund it whenever you want. But that's a different story. Yeah,
I mean, I'm very much, I can kind of, I feel the thing of digital. I kind of agree with, I think it does actually work quite well. But I think the problem is this, I think we've always had that mentality of a difference between a license to have access to it and purchasing it and owning it. And I feel we're in that thing, and this is the problem with like a game like Avengers Alliance. You are just basically in there running it, and people that have spent hundreds of, but the way they encourage you to have these collections and have everything, they're encouraging that kind of buy it all, have it, collect it, but they also want it the best of both worlds. Well, by the way, we're going to dump everything now while we don't make any more money on it. So we're in that weird zone of what people want.
Yeah, and I think for me it's been a shift from, I'll throw a couple dollars here and there at a game to, you need to prove to me that it's worth me giving you a little bit of money before I'll give you anything. So, and I don't think I'm alone in that. I think a lot of mobile gamers are heading in that direction, and that developers, might look at that and go, well, we didn't sell very well, so they ditch it before it even gets going.
I mean, I've been listening to quite a few things about like the mobile market. I mean, like Colin Moriarty from Kind of Funny Games has been talking about how so few games make any real money. The big ones make tons, but there's so much stuff out there, and I feel Disney have sometimes done that, like with some of their games. They're launching them, but because they're not putting any money behind it, it's not breaking through, and it might not be bringing in a huge amount. There's been quite a few apps this year where and they've been talking. There's this talk of mobile games, like maybe a Vita 2, or you've got the NX, where these mobile games developers want to make those games, because when they buy the game, they get the money, rather than this free to play stuff of with like Avengers Alliance, where people don't spend the money the same way. I mean, I'm gonna, if I was to buy a game like Castle of Illusion for $9.99 and play it, that money goes straight to them and they play it. But had it been a mobile game of $3.99, you don't tend to buy it. I don't tend to make that the same association. But I've been buying video games since I was a kid. But app purchases don't fill me with that same. I mean, I did it with Monsters Inc. this week, but I don't tend to throw money at an app the same way.
I think there's a lot of different viewpoints on it. Like, you and I are on kind of the same page. We grew up buying cartridges and eventually CDs and stuff like that. So, in my mind, a video game is X amount of dollars, and normally that's probably between 30 and 60. But these free-to-play mobile games, such as, say, Avengers Academy or Avengers Alliance, people can end up spending literally thousands of dollars on them, and it hurts my brain to think about that. But it's their money, and they're the ones who feel that they're getting the value out of it. And at the same time, I would like to thank the people who are spending thousands of dollars, because they're letting the rest of us play the stuff for free, or only $5 or whatever. But
I also sometimes it's like some of those people that are spending all that money, they probably would say, "Oh, I wouldn't buy a $60 video game outright." Yeah. Ironically, because it's like it's just quick. But I do feel with especially with these like mobile games, these add-ons of, like add this, buy that, do this. They hide usually money. I mean, I like the fact, like when I downloaded Monsters Inc. Disney Crossy Road, which came out this week. When I launched it up and they had the character, it says it's 79 pence for the figure or the character, which I brought because I wanted to do the video, I wanted to play it this week rather than wait 2-3 weeks till I unlock a character. Now that's pretty much one of the few times I will buy stuff because I want access, and if I wasn't doing the website, I probably wouldn't be doing it. Yeah. But I love the fact that it said 79p. It doesn't say it's 1,000 gems and I'm then going to buy 2,000 gems to buy the. I do like the fact that they do that. Often I feel with mobile games they hide the costs behind all these like paywalls of gems and stars and G's and all these kind of things. Oh,
it's not a feeling; it's intentional. They know exactly what they're doing. Like Avengers Academy, the one that I will keep going back to as the aggressively manipulative monetization one. You buy crystals, you buy ISO 8 crystals or whatever they're Asgardian crystals maybe, and the price for them is a conversion of like 50 cents per crystal or something like that, 50 American cents per crystal. So you look at it and you go, oh, it's only 495 crystals, that means it's $5. No, that means it's $10. But your brain's going, oh, it's $5 because I see 495. And that's I do appreciate that about Crossy Roads. I haven't spent any money on that, but I do appreciate when they bring up a price. They're like, this is the price. It's $1.25. Or Disney Magic Kingdoms. Most of the time it's gems, of course, but like sometimes when you're playing along and you unlock a new premium character, they'll pop up with an ad and be like, $3.99, and you get X number of gems, but you get the character. And I'm just like, okay, I know how much I'm paying. I know what I'm getting. I ended up buying Wall-E, mostly because I love that movie. And I was just like, all right, I've played enough of the game. I'll give some. And I got Frozone. I think you did too.
Yeah. So. But I do feel like this is a big problem with like these games of the way people are spending money on them. people can invest a lot of time and a lot of money into it, and I think we're in this like weird bit of time at the minute where they're not really too sure where games, this bit's making money at the minute, but it's also showing, because Apple have made an announcement earlier this week where they are going to be removing apps and games that are not getting any support from the updates. So now if you haven't done an update to an app for a while, or you're not doing regular support, they're going to close you down. They're going to remove it. Which it was a bit like, I think they will need to go, they're planning on doing a sweep through their app store and deleting stuff that's maybe not active and not working very well, or people that throw apps up and never touch them again.
And I could certainly see an argument on both sides of this, but both the iTunes Store and the Google App Store could definitely do with a cleaning, just in general. Probably the Windows Store, too, for that matter.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a lot of rubbish in there. Like it's this like weird thing. Like I say, I think we're in this crossroads of, the mobile market's been around a while now, and people are working out what's working, what isn't. And I do feel with like mobile purchases, you have to look at it as this is a short-term investment. Are you going to get the gameplay and the value out of it right now for that money? It is not a lifelong investment. You're not going to have this in. You've got to look at almost every online game now as when it shuts down rather than if.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm thinking, the mentality that I'm kind of shifting towards, and I think people need to get into the mindset, is that these are like carnival games. You go to, not Disney World because they don't do that, but like, your local theme park or whatever, they have those like claw games or the ski balls and stuff like that. You got to think of it that way. You're not going to get much back from your money, but you might have a little bit of fun in the process. Yeah,
or you're just paying for your admission to Disney World and you have fun for an hour, for a full day, everything's included. But when you leave, you're done. It's just a memory. But there is that big twist over, and I think like with the online game market, it is changing, and I think unfortunately, the issues with Castle of Illusion and Avengers Alliance this week show what issues can be with this digital mobile market. And why you've kind of got to be a little bit careful, and it's like I know, like with Marvel Heroes, you're very easy to, spend a lot of money adding characters and adding content, but you've got to realize that this is short term.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually kind of why I started keeping a spreadsheet of whatever I buy in mobile games or free to play MMOs, just so I don't lose track. Because I think I ended up I spent more on Marvel Heroes than I realized I had spent on it, and it's like, okay, need to kind of bring that back. Now, in fairness, I've been playing the game for 3 years, almost at least weekly, so I've gotten my money's worth, but I'd spent more than I thought. Yeah,
I think that's just in general. But I think but every single game, and it's not just this is not just at Marvel, but they're all going to shut down eventually. Now, whether or not Marvel Heroes to keep adding to it and keep trying to, it's like Star Wars: The Old Republic. That's been going for years, and they keep updating it and they keep adding because they realize that if they don't keep updating it, they're going to lose. That game has to keep running, and like you say, like World of Warcraft keeps adding content to make us do that, and I think that's where these games need to go. And I do wonder if Marvel had just too many apps, and I still think this is down to Disney Interactive issues and maybe not necessarily with finance.
And it might be both, but I think they had too many apps. I don't know if Avengers Alliance is necessarily the one that I would have canceled, but obviously I don't have access to their numbers, and they probably were looking at it and going, this is our lowest performer, and it's not making money, so yank the chain and get rid of it.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So we have a few more stories to do. So let's jump over now to Taco Dana is coming to Star Wars Battlepods. This was shown off at D23. They're adding it to it. It's an arcade game. The latest stage has been added. Features. I kind of feel this is quite odd with having like updates to arcade games. It's like. When I walk past the arcade, it looks like a time warp from life a long time ago, not necessarily having updates. I've never actually played this game. And I don't think my local seafront pier, like where I would play games, would have this game probably for another 20 years at least.
No, probably not. I did get to play it at D23, not this level, obviously. I think I did the Death Star Assault, and it was a lot of fun. But it wasn't like $8,000 fun. and
No.
and I don't think I could see many arcades, dropping $8,000 on this game, because they're probably going to have to charge $3, $4, $5 per playthrough to get their money back on it. And arcades in general, just at least here in the States, are not doing well at all. Haven't been for a long time. It's the same thing that you're describing. I could walk in there and I could probably see people playing the original Marvel vs. Capcom or like Mortal Kombat 3 or something like that.
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one. Like I said, it's a shame that they haven't brought this content to VR or so. That's where they, it just feels like such a weird move to have it on in an arcade, because you just don't think of arcades for video games anymore. I mean, I grew up, every week, or a few times a week when we used to go down to the beach with my dad. I used to go into the arcade and spend my money on X-Men and Simpsons and Ninja Turtles and Daytona USA. That was the expensive one. You couldn't go on that one very often. You had 10p a go on 10p a go for like X-Men. That's why, and Ninja Turtles, or 50p for Daytona USA. No. We have only if you got money from Grand.
Yeah. I remember doing that, and those games were great. The original X-Men game was fantastic. I still remember Colossus's giant explosion attack, which never made sense to me, but whatever. Yeah. It was a fun game, and I miss going to the arcade. But I think you kind of alluded to this. We could see arcades coming back with like 3D gaming, because they take up a lot less space, and right now they're too expensive for consumers. But a place where you could go and play VR for like a couple of bucks for a single game, or like $10 for an hour or something like that, at least for a little while, could be a very interesting idea.
Personally, I prefer the one on the pier that you put your 10p in and you press the red lights and then you get a packet of little sweets.
Yeah,
that was always a good one.
You get your fortune red or whatever.
Yeah, get your money red. Okay, so I'm going to jump over to now. During the Nintendo Direct this week, there was a load of 3DS news. Not really too much news. There was a video clip for the new Disney Magical World 2, which comes out on October the 14th, which is kind of cool, because I think it's also in Europe as well. For a while it wasn't showing up, but it's going to be out as well. It's literally the day I get back off for vacation, so I'll be pre-ordering that one soon enough. But they showed off some different items. If you do a pre-order bonus, you will get free Frozen outfits. So that's kind of cool. Nice to see it being shown off. It's kind of the only really big Disney console release coming up the rest of the year, bar Kingdom Hearts. So it's the one for October. It's definitely worth checking out. I've never played either of them, or the first game either, but I don't know if you have either.
I have not. I did some reading about it when they announced the sequel. I guess or when they announced this one. I guess it's like Animal Crossing. Kind of a lot of mini games and dress up and wandering around the Disney World or whatever, and interacting with the various princesses and Aladdin and all them. But other than that, I have no idea what's going on with this one. Yeah, no,
I'm going to join this one just purely out of interest from the site and have a look at the characters. It definitely seems to be primarily aimed at girls, I think, from even just looking at the cover. You've got Frozen, Little Mermaid. It definitely that's who the prime audience is. It is made for 7 and up, so I think I'll just about qualify for that one. But it's kind of cool to see Nintendo doing the 3DS Direct. I think they were very much focused on the idea of not... they didn't want to let anyone about the NX. It was like, this is the 3DS Direct. Do not expect anything. This is what it is. And they only gave everyone 2 days notice. But cool. And they're also bringing Disney themes to the 3DS. But yeah, I think everyone's just waiting for that NX news, which hopefully is in a week or two.
I mean, even if they do announce the NX, though, I'm not expecting much from Disney in regards to this. Maybe they'll announce that the Spider-Man game that we already know about, maybe it's going to jump over from the PS4 to the NX, but I'm not holding my breath for Disney on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling with the NX that because if it's basically the follow-up to the 3DS, making games for these devices for kids and stuff, and the way they license them out, I think we are going to see games coming to this from Disney in the from their partners and stuff. Because I look at what games have come out on the Vita and the 3DS that weren't out on the major consoles, and I can't help but feel those kind of games are going to come over to this console when it gets announced. and maybe if they're a bit closer, they might be able to launch them as Xbox One, PS4, like digital games or something like that. But I just have a feeling that we're gonna, there's always been an association with these portable devices of Disney kind of using these games a lot. There's always been, I look in this, Muppets, and we never saw a Muppets game really on the consoles, but you saw them on the portable devices.
I hadn't thought about that yet, but we haven't seen much in the way of the Muppets, period. But I think, aren't they over in Disney World? They're getting a new show once their area gets renovated, so it might be a good time for them to throw something out there.
I just feel like the NX. I'm not going to be at all surprised if there are some exclusive Disney content, because this year Disney, the 3DS has had this one, and also Art Academy, so it's had 2 games this year that the other consoles haven't had. They've had Olaf's Quest, and the Vita had Phineas and Ferb. And so there's been a lot of mobile games. It wouldn't surprise me if they jump into this, and so I am got my eye on the NX. That I do feel there will be some content coming to it, but that's pretty cool. I think hopefully we'll know a little bit more about that device soon enough. Okay.
It really depends on what gimmick they have for the NX. I mean, I know we've heard the rumors, mobile and transformative and stuff like that, but it's all speculation still. So.
Well, we've got the Sony conference this week, and I think there's an Apple conference this week. So it definitely feels like September is the month that they are putting out lots of information. The NX is supposed to be out in March, so they need to get some content going. But also, I thought the 3DS Direct actually stole that unit. They showed off a lot of big heavy hitters to say that, look, this console isn't dead for this season. The kids go and buy the 3DS stuff because it isn't dead. And I think that's the way I looked at it. That was kind of the easiest way of looking at it.
I honestly have not actually checked out the 3DS Direct. I have no idea, other than Disney Magical World 2. I don't know what was announced in it, but I have a 3DS. I should probably actually check that out. I did notice there was an update to the Mi Plaza, where you do the puzzles and stuff like that. So
I think they've announced like a Yoshi's Woolly thing and a Mario Maker 3DS and a few things. I'm gonna be honest. I got my 3DS. I picked up Kingdom Hearts. I think it was 3, 5, 6, 7/days or whatever it was. To literally play on vacation. That's my vacation game this time, because I thought that would be a good. I'm not going to play Dreams of Distance. I'm going to leave that for the PS4. But yeah, I don't really use my 3DS very often, so it's not a major console.
Yeah, I took my 3DS with me to the convention this week because I knew I'd get a lot of street passes, and that's, I think, the first time I've actually pulled my 3DS out of its charging cable in about a month. So
yeah, it's not. That's where I'm like worried on the NX. If I buy it, I know what's going to happen. It's going to sit like my Vita and 3DS in the corner and not use it. If I can't use it on the big screen, that's where I know I'm going to have a problem. But I do like the idea I could take it to work and keep playing. But until we know officially, that's the way it is. Also, final bit of the news I did touch on a little bit before was that the Disney Crossy Roads now have added a whole host of levels and new characters. They've also introduced the weekend challenges. And just more content. They keep adding to it. I don't think we're going to be getting Disney Crossy Road content coming for at least another year. They seem to be loving this game. And a lot of people liking it. And I think it's very simple, but it is like a perfect mobile game just to pick up.
Yeah, I have it on my Android. I play it about twice a day. I play it when I wake up. I play one level, and then I pick up the free gift, and then I get the notification 6 hours later that my free gift is ready, and I play one level, and then I have a bunch of characters who I've used exactly once. But you mentioned the weekend challenges, and that was really cool. They did the Pirates one this past weekend. It's the first time I'd actually sat down and played the game with an objective since the game came out.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not the best player at it, but yeah, that kind of idea of the trouble is my weekend isn't then. My weekend's in the middle of the week. I mean, it's like they're my busiest days of the week, so that doesn't really work for well. But yeah, I know that feeling of like I'm like that with Magical Kingdoms, where try it in the morning, try it at night, and set it off. But it's cool they're adding content. I'm still surprised they went with Monsters Inc. this month. I was for sure it was going to be BFG or the Pete's Dragon or something like that, but nope. They went real old school, which I don't think is a bad idea. I don't think adding in some old classic content is a bad idea for this game.
I think, they can take some of the Disney Infinity lessons from this and kind of mix it up. Like, I expect that when Moana comes out, we'll get Moana figures or Crossy Road characters, and in the meantime, give us some of the content from growing up or the classic content, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, no. Well, I think pretty much on that note, I think we've pretty much ran through all the news. We were going to do, like you said last week, we were going to do the future of Disney, but to be honest, we had a lot of news. We had a few technical issues to begin with, so we kind of ran out of time. I've got to run to a florist and make sure I get some flowers.
yes, it's a special day for your wife, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's like, I've got to make sure I get that. It's not worth the effort. It's going to be done. But no, we're going to do another thing. We did try we've tried out a different technical recording session here to see how this works. So hopefully that's worked okay. We'll find out when we're both recording at both ends to make sure we get it.
Yes.
Yes. So if you've got any comments or feedback, let us know. Over the next couple of weeks, we'll be going through bits and pieces and doing these maybe slightly shorter episodes and stuff while we go through bits and pieces. But yeah, as per usual, guys, check us out at DisKingdom.com for all your latest from Disney video game news. If you're a patron as well, big thank you for all of your support. You can find out more over at DisKingdom.com/Patreon, which pays for things like the software I'm using to record this, and the hosting of the podcast. That's basically what all that goes into, is just covering some of those costs. So James, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at IHI_James or vagabondpeak.com.
Vagabond. Yeah. So if you're into comics, definitely want to check out his weekly pull down of all the comic book stuff, because it's kind of good. I must admit, it's kind of cool for me sometimes I get that comic information a little bit easier from a little bit easier format.
And I'm going to be adding on a Friday video of some sort, kind of like a wrap up of some of the books that came out, maybe some news articles similar to what you do daily for the DisKingdom YouTube page. Yeah,
it's definitely kind of interesting to do it. And also you can check out his Getting Up with the Geeks podcast as well over on the Res Network, which have got loads of lots there as well, that kind of thing of a fellow former Disney Infinity group kind of that have spread out their wings and covering lots of things. I know they just launched a new Overwatch podcast this week, which I'm going to be honest, there's a free weekend this week that I want to play because I've not played the game, so I'm going to be playing it this weekend to kind of understand what the game is and kind of get into it. But I know Mighty Judd is from Disney Infinity. She's been doing it. Papa Echo as well, who one of the other there's been quite a big of a shift from Infinity artists going over to Overwatch. It seems to be, I think I don't know if they're just enjoying playing rather than building.
I think so, but I think you and I are the last two people on the planet who are definitely going to download it and try it out next weekend.
Yeah. That's cool. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you're on YouTube, and you can hit that subscribe button as well on the audio versions. And we shall see you guys in a later video. So, laters.
Peace.